It's obviously a great era to look at for the proper classical actor, classically trained, because a lot of them weren't they? They did a lot of theatre and Shakespearean stuff at that sort of era too.
Right.
So yeah, no, excellent. Okay, a bit of an off-the-wall question now. I've got to thank, by the way, Lauren for some of these questions. Well, a lot of these questions. You know her as Lauren SFXX on Twitter. She is. Bless her. She's really grateful, by the way, for you to follow her. You followed her the other day or the other week, and she's over the moon. But yeah, she's sent me loads of questions in for you, which is great.
Okay.
Yay. What superhero would you be out of? Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, or Captain America?
I'd want to be Thor, because my dad was born in Sweden and my mom was born in Latvia, so I've got that Scandinavian blood in me, so at heart, I feel like, I'm a warrior in some sort of way, I think we all are, but, my ancestors came from over there, so I like Thor. Yeah.
Excellent. A Viking at heart.
Yeah, I know.
You should get yourself on that show.
Yeah. I wanted to. Travis Fimmel's a good friend of mine.
All right.
I was pushing all my team. I said, please get me on that show. I'm dying to be. And they didn't. I mean, they hired a lot of English and Irish because it was shot over in Ireland. Yeah. And so, they brought my friend Donald Logue over to do a season. But I never got in on that. But anyways, I love the show. I mean, I do. I love that show.
Yeah, it's a corker of a show, that one, to be fair.
Yeah.
I binge watched it. I didn't know everyone was telling me about it, and so I ended up. I was off for 3 or 4 weeks at work, in between contracts. So I thought, you know what, let's catch up on Viking. That was it. Started it, and I just couldn't stop. It was just like the entire day I was just vegged on the sofa watching Vikings. It was brilliant.
You know the DP on that who did all the lighting for season 1. Actually, his name's John Bartley, and he's our DP for Bates Motel.
All right,
awesome. And he was the DP for X-Files, so he's always got a very specific thing in mind. And I remember him always talking about Travis, like he wanted to light Travis in a very specific way that just made those blue eyes like pop. And there was something about him that was magical, but a lot of it is in the DP and the lighting and the camera guys and what they do and how they tell the story,
Oh god, yeah, definitely. I think I've got to say, sorry, I know we're off topic. Floki is one of my favourites. Oh, this little Ragnar with his
yeah, I know.
His little twinkling hands,
yeah. Great character, man.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Moving on. Again, these are some weird questions before we move on to your career.
Nothing's weird.
Well, I say weird and just out of the ordinary.
I like. Offbeat is best. Dude. It's perfect.
Okay. If you were any animal for a day, what would you be and why?
I'd be a Black Panther.
Cool.
Why? I don't know. I keep feeling like I had been reincarnated from a cat. So I've always had obsessions with Black Panthers. And then my grandparents who came over from Riga during the war, they always had a Black Panther on their TV, and so I had a chance. And somebody knew when I was doing the Shield, the camera guy knew a place where they had Black Panthers, so he brought me up there with his girlfriend, and I went up with my girl at the time, my girl who's now my wife, and I met the female, which was young and skittish, and she was kind of crazy, but they had heard that I was good with animals, so I signed off on if I get killed, it's my own fault. And he realized I had a connection with this animal. I had no fear. So he had a male that was about 235 pounds, and he says, "Listen, I get you actually have a connection. Do you want to walk my male panther for a walk?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And so I signed off. Like, if he kills me, it's my own fault. You put him on a chain, and I walked him 3 miles out into the desert, which was like 2.5 hours north of LA. And, it was the most awesome thing in the world, and came back. And so, for some reason, I mean, I would love to be like King Kong, too. You know what I mean? I mean, see things through the eyes of King Kong. But, I don't know. I've been obsessed with Panthers, so, yeah, cool. That's it.
Fair enough. That's pretty awesome character to be. I actually came face-to-face with a panther. Here's my little claim to fame. In the wild, yeah, we were, as strange as it would have it, bear with me. As strange as it would have it, I used to do reenactment, World War II reenactment.
Right.
But no, we used to train at weekends in an old airfield in the middle of England. And there had been a story that was not a story, it was true, that a panther had escaped from the local zoo.
Jesus.
Yeah. So there's
Oh,
us in the middle of the night. I actually went across for a little wander across this airfield, and there's like a hedgerow at the end.
right.
And as I was shining my torch, I kid you not, literally about 20 feet away, these massive yellow eyes, literally about this far apart,
Oh,
just
Jesus.
stared straight back at me. And obviously then, it was a sphincter moment of, oh, shit! It's like, what do I do? All my mates were back about, they're about, I don't know, about 150 yards away in the tents. And I was like on my own in the middle of the night, staring off this pan. And I was just like, it was staring at me, and I was staring back.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my God. So I called everyone over. And I told them, I said, look, just over there. And as they came, they all saw and they all witnessed, because as we shone the torch back again, it just bounded off. And like every 6 or 8 feet, you could just see the glint of its eyes.
Right.
It must have eaten that night, because that was pretty clear. Literally 20 feet from a wild panther. It was
Dude, that's scary. That's crazy.
It got caught a few weeks later, but yeah, that was a...
Oh, God. Did they kill him, or they put him down with a tranquilizer?
Put him back in the zoo.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I don't like it when they kill them like that. It's not their fault. That's what they're supposed to be, isn't it? Free.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I know, right? Exactly.
Awesome. So, if someone made a movie on your life and you could choose any actor in the world to play you, who would you pick and why?
Either Brad Pitt or Travis Fimmel. I mean, I really like Travis, and he's very offbeat, and he's got this offbeat, quirky sense of humor that I really, really like. And again, Brad Pitt. I did a Pringles commercial with him way back, right before he did Thelma and Louise, and I just remember really connecting with him. And there's something very earthy about Brad that kind of reminds me of me. So if I were to, pick anybody, I would do one of those guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Two very good actors. I could see.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say I can see bits of them in you anyway. A bit of Travis Fimmel in the look, and with your hair like that, a bit of Brad.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
They're very earthy guys, and they come from Brad comes from the Midwest of Missouri, and Travis comes from like the 5,000 acre ranch and outside in between, I think, Sydney and Melbourne, and he's just an extremely just earthy, genuine guy, and we all connect in a way where it's effortless, and everyone else is trying to be Hollywood or trying to be actors, and we just all kind of look at each other like we're just regular people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a thing that you just understand, and that's kind of why I would say that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Down to earth is a great sort of good analogy, but that's great to hear, especially for someone like you, say Brad, and as well.
Yeah.
Everyone who just sees him, well, people like me, all we ever see him is on the big screen. So. Yeah. As his persona. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favourite band and artist, music wise? What are you into? That kind of thing.
I like Numb, Linkin Park. The song Numb. I like Johnny Lang sings the blues. I love blues. I love you look at Lady Gaga. I love her. I love Eminem. I love Rihanna. There's so many different artists. The Cranberries. I mean, you name it. Depending what mood I'm in, it crosses across. I love musicals or things from Les Mis or classical opera singers. I don't have any specific genre. I don't like jazz, and I know people will hate me for it. I've tried. I've gone to every jazz club. I've known a lot of jazz singers that were famous, and I don't like jazz. This is my thing, and I also country. I mean, I went to a Reba concert because my friend, did a tour with her, and I have a hard time getting into country also. But everything else, I think I can listen to and identify with, and I'll never say I have a favorite. I mean, I love U2. I mean, U2's like phenomenal. But there's just not any specific band that I would say this is my favorite band. I literally get moved by it. Music moves me incredibly. It's such a pure form of expression that again, every roll or every part I do, I have an iPod with like 1,000 songs, and I go to things that trigger me off and bring me into these areas of my emotions or my life or things that bring up stuff, and I just walk around, like method acting, listening to the music, getting ready until they say, okay, Kenny, it's you're up, and then I go and kind of just begin in the moment,
Awesome. It does actually sound very much like my playlist.
Yeah.
Eminem, Rihanna, musicals. I love Les Mis as well. Massive fan of musicals. Me and the wife and the family adore them. But yeah, you're right. It just depends on the mood, I think, of what kind of music you do listen to. And it does affect you. I mean, if I am working out, which is quite rare lately, then Eminem's a great one for me. If I'm hitting the bike down the beach and stuff, it's great.
No doubt, man. You got a beach by your house?
Oh yeah, I live North Wales, so literally about 400 yards. I've got about 6-7 miles of beach.
That's nice.
Right, yeah. Sadly, we don't have the weather you have, which would be nice if we hadn't. Since we got the beach, it's
yeah.
You go down there and pretty much freeze your ass off every time you go down, but
yeah. That's crazy.
It's nice to have. It's good to have.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to some questions now about your career.
Okay.
And the jobs that you've done. Simon,
okay.
I hope I'm pronouncing this guy's name right. Simon Barre Brisbois follows me. He says, during your career, you've worked on the pilot of Aquaman, which unfortunately didn't get accepted as a series. What was your what was your memory of working on such a show based in the water environment, and how do you wish the series would have gone had it been accepted?
It did really well on iTunes. It did great on iTunes, and I know that blonde kid who was Aquaman, I got along great with him, and he and I clicked really well. And I know the director, executive producer, and the writers were the guys from Smallville, and they were like super nice. And I think they thought it was gonna take off, and it just didn't hit, so they canceled it. And I'm a huge fan of because of my daughter, like Ariel and the underground world, and that whole thing is really awesome to me. And I just remember the guy who now is on a show on Fox that's a huge hit show. I can't remember his name, but he was a lead kid in Aquaman, and he was just such a down-to-earth, nice, great kid who was full of compliments. And I just really, I liked the concept, and I thought it would have been a really good show to pursue. I mean, unfortunately, I think come off the Shield, and I remember Greg Beeman wanted me to come for one of the leads in the show, and I didn't do it, and he was really bummed. I mean, he was really bummed at me. He goes, "I want you to play this character," and I'm like, I just don't see that as my career move, So I kind of did, my role as a favor, but it was going to be a reoccurring role. They could have done anything with it, but at the same time, I wasn't right for that part. I just did it because it was Greg and it was Aquaman. I thought that would be cool, but yeah.
All right, cool. Fair enough. Nice answer, thank you. Cool. And moving on to Sons of Anarchy, again, this is Lauren. Who's the funniest actor on set and to work with? Yeah, who's the funniest guy in there? Booney is the funniest dude in the world. I would say Boone, Charlie Hunnam, because Charlie was crazy. And all he wanted to do was wrestle, kickbox, or try jiu-jitsu, and everybody pranked on everybody. Like Boone would be standing there between takes. Charlie would run full speed, clothesline him off of his chair. He'd fall down, and then Boone, who looks like he's an out-of-shape kind of whatever guy, is actually super strong, and he used to play college soccer. He would chase Charlie, and then I would dive on Boone. Boone would get on the ground. Charlie would dive on him. Then Flanagan would jump on me and try to choke me out because he didn't want me to hurt Boone. And it was like we were nonstop busting on each other. But another guy who was funny as anything, who had the driest, wittiest sense of humor was Clay. Right. Ron Perlman. I mean, dude, he just made comments that were these dry, witty, off-handed comments that nobody got. And every time he'd make it, I'd be cracking up, and he'd look over like, who's laughing? He's like, oh, Kenny. And then he'd wait, he'd be alone, and he'd do another comment, I'd be like rolling, and he'd be like, oh yeah, he gets me. And I got along great with him. So I would say Charlie Boone and Charlie Boone and Clay.
and Pearl. Perlman were funniest mofos ever.
Oh, that's fantastic. Really good. It's great to hear when you have such an atmosphere and such a vibe on set when you're messing around off set as well.
Oh, dude, it was non-stop. What you saw on set and off set was the same thing, except for we got a lot more physical offset. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Good God. I can imagine that's considering what you were doing on set, that's a pretty good statement.